Hi, this is Dakota Hogwood from Philadelphia, and you're listening to White Canes Connect.
Hey there, PA Federationists. Welcome to another episode of White Canes Connect, presented by the National Federation of the Blind of Pennsylvania. My name is David Goldstein. I am the treasurer of the Keystone Chapter. Joining me today as co-host and Keystone Chapter second vice president, Lisa Bryant. Lisa, how are you today?
I'm back. Thanks for going solo on the last episode, and very glad to be back, and very glad to have talked with Dakota Hogwood, who is part of the Business Enterprise Program, runs a store here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it really was nice to talk to her. And as we say during the interview, I could talk business all day long. That's one of the things that I love. And it's interesting to hear her perspectives. I started in business when I was 20 years old with my West Coast video franchise back in the day. That tells you how old I am now. But it was nice to hear from her and hear on how important it is to get involved in the BEP, especially if you're young and you have some ambition, but you're not sure where you want to point that ambition. This is a great opportunity for folks.
Yes. So let's listen to Dakota talk about the Business Enterprise Program.
Dakota, thanks so much for being with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Dakota, it is nice reconnecting. You and David helped me out with a project, part of a focus group with other blind and visually impaired Philadelphians. And David and I were very, very impressed with your participation in that group, your energy, your knowledge. And since this is the closing out of Women's History Month, it just made sense to have you on as an example, as an inspiration. And also, this is right up David's alley as a member of the Blind Merchants Group, and just one who he'll tell you all the time he loves talking about business. So glad to have you on.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for inviting me on here. It's awesome.
Why don't you start with a little bit about you, where you're originally from, and tell us as much as you're willing to share about your blindness.
Initially, I was born in Virginia, lived there up until I was maybe about 4 years old. And then I came to Philadelphia, lived here my entire life, kind of like the Northeast area, Frankfurt area when I was younger. And I'm just living in Philly, doing my thing. I've got 4 siblings. I've got 3 sisters and a brother. And I have RP, which is retinitis pigmentosa. It is a hereditary eye disease where your peripheral kind of comes into where you can kind of only see tunnel vision.
And that is a progressive condition, correct?
Yes, it's a progressive. It is a progressive eye disease, and there is currently no cure for it. But fingers crossed. There's so much technology that you never know what's going to happen. I haven't lost it yet, so can't lose hope.
Right. Keep hope alive.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. My father also has it, as well as my older sister.
We had talked to some folks from Foundation Fighting Blindness, and they had a lot of things to say about RP and some of the other similar diseases like that, Usher syndrome and things like that. I'll link to that in the show notes so folks can get a better idea of what RP is.
So Dakota, you're fairly young, correct? How old are you?
24.
And you already are running a business. So tell us, for folks who don't know, what the BEP is. What is that program?
The BEP is the Business Enterprise Program, and it is an opportunity where the blind and visually impaired get to experience working everyday life. We get sent away to not sent away, that's not a but we go to training in Harrisburg for a couple of months. We get our licenses. They teach us all the ropes of what we would need to know for running a cafeteria or a convenience store type of facility. We get taught everything we need to know for vending and get an idea of just how to work every day in a kitchen and run a business. We get trained properly. We get our licenses, food safety certification, and then we come back and get the opportunity to bid on locations throughout the Pennsylvania area. And if we have a business plan / bid letter that is sufficient and looks good, they select yours, and you get the opportunity to run the facility that you bid on.
And what are the requirements to even enter the program? Because as I said, you're fairly young, so you have to be minimum of how old?
18.
And of course, have some sort of visual impairment.
Yes, you have to be rendered legally blind, visually impaired, in order to qualify for the program. You actually get the option of through Blind and Visual Services, the Bureau of Blind and Visual Services. Sorry, you get the opportunity through them to select whether you want to go to school, go to work, do some type of government work, or anything like that. And I chose the BEP, and that's what kind of pushed me to be in the direction I'm in now.
Did you always think of yourself as a business manager, owner, entrepreneur? Has that always been sort of the track that you wanted to follow?
No, not even in the slightest, actually. I had actually had envisioned doing graphic design and web design and stuff like that all on the computer and everything. But this opportunity was kind of just simpler, and with the possibility of losing my eyes, I deterred from doing anything that would long-term me using my eyes, kind of.
Yeah. Anything too vision heavy.
That's interesting that you say that, because I actually have a company that does web and graphic design. Taking a step back as far as how you got started. So you're 24 now. You're in a location now. Is that your first location?
Actually, it's not my first location. I got done training and everything in 2019. I finished up in maybe end of the summer. It was more September, October of 2019. I finished up my training, got all my licenses and everything. And then in December of 2019, I got awarded at the Social Security building over at 3rd and Spring Garden. I opened up the last week of December in 2019, and then got closed up due to the pandemic in March of 2020.
Wow.
And was shut down until August of this past year.
Okay. So did somebody go in there, or do you have that one as well? Still,
there is actually nobody in there due to building capacity. They are very minimal in the building, and it's not a viable location considering they actually have a cafeteria on the first floor, which is direct competition. So I actually had to get rid of that location, and it's just kind of up in the air in the program right now. Okay,
and tell us how. That's interesting that you mentioned that, because I know, as the listeners would know, I worked for Kirk Hunger last summer in the IRS building at 30th and Market in Philadelphia. And there was also a cafeteria there that was not part of the program. How does it work when there is something like that there? Is that somehow possible at some point in time for that to become a BEP entity or run, for lack of a better word? Can somebody down the line get into that, or is that something that's run outside of the BEP program?
That's actually an awesome question, because that is the goal of the BEP program. We wish to, in the future, to be able to take over and at least have like our foot in the door with doing these cafeterias and everything. But right now, we just don't have as many people in the program, so it makes it a little bit more difficult for us to be able to take over as many locations. But we do have intentions of, in the future, doing things hand in hand with the cafeterias and hopefully being able to take over some locations.
As more people get into the program, that's the hopes. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah, we definitely have hopes that we can start taking those over. But as of right now, they are worked with they have different contractors, but we are in contract where they technically are not allowed to sell anything that we sell. If my convenience store is considered a grab and go location, and upstairs is considered a actual cafeteria. I sell grab and go everything, like grab and go hot food. I can do anything that they can do grab and go, coffee, all that, but they can only do they have to cook to order food upstairs. They're only allowed to do things like that. They can't sell anything that I sell down here.
So like bottled drinks and things like that. Okay.
And they can have that, but they have a fountain. So it's kind of,
okay.
They already have their own drink. I don't have a fountain down here. But they can do like a few sodas and stuff like that. But Technically, they're not allowed to sell what you have to mess up your competition or something.
As far as things to eat, I know when I worked for Kirk, he in that location sold hot dogs and a couple other hot food things. Are you allowed to sell things like that?
Yes, I have. I do hot dogs, hot sausages, mild sausages. We have mini pizzas. We do empanada selections, tacos. We've got a bunch of different breakfast sandwich options, and there's something else that I just brought in and I don't remember.
Okay.
But yeah, we have veggie options and stuff too.
Okay. And let's take a step back as far as the training goes. So you say 2 months in Harrisburg. So you trained in Harrisburg?
Yes, I did training in Harrisburg, and I think it was a little bit more than 2 months.
Okay. So is that all the training, or is there prep work before you get there? Or does the training start when you get to Harrisburg and finishes when you're done in Harrisburg?
For the most part, the training starts while you're in Harrisburg. There is a part of the training you have to do what's considered a 5-day trial, where you are working in somebody else's facility and you're like being watched, and people are making sure that you are doing everything right and that you can actually work in a facility and run it.
Okay.
I had worked in the past for another vendor, and I had worked with him, so I didn't have to go through the 5-day trial.
Okay.
But that is a part of it, where we do a 5-day work trial and we go in person training and hands-on everything.
Okay. And typically when that goes on, when you say somebody's watching, you mean the person who has that location, they don't have somebody from the state in to do that?
Either or.
Okay.
I do believe that they have like somebody who's from the state who comes in and checks and makes sure things are being done correctly. And then they do have the blind vendor who is also
okay.
awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you say, do you run the entire operation or just the retail end of it? Do you go in the back and you do ordering or things like that? Or is it just basically the out front and with the customer type of thing?
Because I've never personally done it, I'm not 1,000% sure, but I am almost certain that it would be everything. They would make sure that they know how that they're prepping the food correctly, and if they have to cut anything, they got to make sure that they're handling knives and everything properly. And then, of course, they hop on the register and make sure you can communicate with customers and your customer service is good and you can actually work a register.
Okay. And how about, I'm guessing you have the lottery there. Is that correct?
Yes. We do
from the machines, from those basically vending machines, if you will.
Yes, that's exactly what they call them, vending lottery machines.
Okay, where you basically play the numbers, Powerball, Mega Millions, those games that you can play right
Scratch
then and there.
Yep, all the quick play and
okay.
Scratch off, anything.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And if I remember correctly, that was right around the corner from where the actual location is. Is that still how you have it set up?
Yes, I have it set up exactly like that, and still have the two vending machines.
Not in the grab and go.
No, it's not in the grab and go. So anybody on the weekend, they have full availability to it.
And how have things been going since you got into that location?
Things have been going really good. I'm not going to lie. In the very beginning, it was a very overwhelming and hectic process, but from there, things have just been going in the right direction, moving positively, and that's exactly what I want to see. Stock building up, getting more items in, and just patrons telling me that they're happy and they love coming down here. Everything's just moving in the right direction. Everything looks good, and I can't complain too much.
Okay. and just
Definitely.
refresh my memory. When did you actually open that location? When did you actually open for business there?
First date of operation was August 1st, 2022. So I haven't even been like a full 6-7 months in here.
As far as employees, do you have any employees yet or no? Or is it just you?
I actually have that same gentleman that worked for Kirk, Tyler. He's actually my brother-in-law.
I'm guessing when you get together with your dad, you talk business quite often. Is that true?
It definitely comes up. It's definitely always a part of the topic.
Okay.
Somehow
and
we turn into business talk.
Did he push you towards it when you said, hey, I think I want to do graphic and web design? And he said, well, you should look at this thing. This is really cool. Look at how well we do, so forth and so on. Did that give you a little push towards it, or how did that all play out? Or did you go to him and say, Dad, you know what? I think you're right. I'm going to do the BEP.
In all honesty, it was kind of a me decision. I last minute made a decision not to do the graphic design or the schooling thing or any of that, and then was like, you know what, I'll go into the BEP program just because I knew it was going to be a good outcome either way, as long as as long as I did it right. Yeah.
And you saw his successes, I'm guessing, so that was probably helpful.
Oh yes, well, we saw how well he was doing it and the way he was doing things, and I was like, oh yeah, you know, he's good with people. He's great with people, and I know I can be good with people, and that is a huge thing when it comes to working in customer service. So it's like, okay, I can do that. Then I got in here, and I'm like, oh, whoa, this is actually a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just the people; it's everything.
Dakota, I'm curious. You talked a little sort of like generally about the process. From start to finish, what was it like even getting to be in the program and to attend the training? All of those initial steps with BBVS, how smoothly or not did that part go?
In all honesty, I had gotten on the waiting list when I was maybe 18 or 19 years old, and
Oh, wow.
it takes its good little time. You got to be patient with it because
Yeah.
they only send a certain amount of people to training at a time and everything. And they take care of everything for you. Like, you don't have to worry about anything. You're on a waiting list for a little bit of time. They call you and say, hey, you're finally next for training. You're going here, this date to this date, and you can make your way. I think they help you get there and back your first time there, and then your way back for the whole time, and then any other trips that you want to do in between is up to you, type of thing.
That's what I was curious about. So for those 2 months in Harrisburg, you're daily commuting or you're staying there? Oh, you're daily commuting.
They give us we have a hotel room. They hook us up with a hotel, everything, and it's less than 10 minutes away from the training facility. And you go, you stay, you enjoy yourself. You get up like class basically every morning, 7 to like 3 o'clock. And it was for those couple of months. It was basically a class, and then you go back to your back to the hotel, and you have the option if you want to go back and forth on the weekends. They still have like your room is your thing and all that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, really cool. They take care of you while you're out there.
Now, what did
100%.
you do in between that time? How did you sort of keep yourself occupied while you were on that wait list? Were you employed elsewhere?
Yes. I actually was employed. I worked at McDonald's from 2016 till the program, basically.
So you were able to find something.
There.
Okay, good for you.
Oh yeah, exactly. It gave me a leg up in the program and everything. Having an idea with customer service and just, food and everything.
Right. Right.
But I did work there until things worked out.
Let's talk about McDonald's for a second. With, I'm guessing their point of sale system not accessible, or you had enough vision that you could get through it?
I had enough vision that I could get through it, and after you learn it, it all just kind of becomes muscle memory. So it's just like do. But definitely was not accessible for the blind and visually impaired. I would move it up and try as much as I can. They would try different monitors for me here and there so I could move it up closer and everything.
Okay.
But it just wasn't.
And that was in Philly, 100%. Dakota?
Yes, I worked the Fox Chase in Fox Chase.
I'm curious about something else. You mentioned that when you and David were talking about running a cafeteria, there just aren't enough people in the program. Are there any effort being made to really spread the word about this program and to recruit people into it?
To be completely honest, they want to expand it, they want to grow it, but the pandemic really took a hit at like the state employees that we had.
Right.
And they are the overs, they run everything, and it made it a lot more difficult for things to kind of get the ball rolling again. After the pandemic. So that definitely has a huge, huge impact on it. I know that there is between 4 and 6 people on the waiting list to get back into the program and everything, to get into the program and everything. So I do know that there are people in line and they've got some people, but that's about it for all of Pennsylvania. You can definitely get a longer list than that for the program.
Right. I think the big issue is the training. There's no training that is yet up and running.
Yeah.
And Lisa, someone you and I know pretty well, had started training and now has to start over because of the pandemic.
Oh my golly.
So that's been a big issue with getting folks back in there, talking to a few other people who are in the program. At one time, there were a couple hundred folks. And now I think Pam told me 22, I think.
I was going to say there's less than 30 at this point.
And that's in the state.
Definitely.
Yeah, entire state.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there's hundreds of locations that are out there that are just waiting for folks to take them over.
Yep. And then you have to consider also that our program's getting older. I'm the youngest one in the program.
Yeah.
By maybe 10 or so, 15 years, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say decades.
So our program. So we do have an Ann Jeanette. I believe she's only, less than 40.
Okay.
Might not be, but either way. But our program's definitely getting older, so we got to try and expand it more for like the younger people, like opportunities for younger people.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that too is just the word's not out there. Like, I don't think everybody knows that it's a thing. It's something that's available for the blind and visually impaired.
Exactly. And that's really on the agencies. You know, the agencies have to be a lot more active in the communities about it. I mean, you're a great example, and hopefully there are people out here listening and they might be inspired. But at the end of the day, if it's a service or a program they're offering, they really need to make sure that they're putting their money where their mouth is around it. I wonder, Dakota,
putting it out there.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder, and I know you're fairly new into this, but how would you like to grow what either you're doing personally in this program, or what would you like to see? Maybe both questions. How would you like to see the program grow in general?
In reality, I would like to see the program. I want to see it grow in general, just overall. But I want to see it go in the right direction. I want to see it expand, just with even like slightly family oriented, even just because. And I'm not saying that because my dad's in the program or anything in that matter. It's just like when you're doing it with your family or that backbone, you know, you've got so much more support, and you're able to run it so much more efficiently.
Right.
Like, for sure. There's a whole different, it's a well-oiled machine when you got all the right people there.
Yeah. And I think it's very interesting too that you said family. I think that's a really good point. Also, so a family member will be familiar, or at least we would hope that the family member will be familiar with how you need to operate as being visually impaired. But even a better advantage is if, like with the case of your dad, you know, he also has the same condition. So there's an unspoken language that you both speak. So that's an advantage. How would you personally, though, and again, I know you're fairly new into this, but what sort of goals do you have personally, either within or beyond the BEP?
I was actually
program?
just thinking about it, kind of slightly talking about it today with the all kind of having to do with the BEP program. I personally, I'm not a city person, so I would like to live somewhere that's a little bit more out in the middle of nowhere. And we've got a few sites that are rest stops and stuff like that out those ways. And I personally would like to go out there near the rest stops and take over a couple of the rest stop locations and just all the way up and down 95 or whichever interstates. Just be the person taking care of the vending machines and filling it all up and doing my part on the vending machines, taking care of those, because I also know that there's not quite a lot of rest stop vendors due to travel being an issue, you know?
Exactly.
I know that they provide stock rooms and everything for you, but out there in the middle of nowhere, I'm not going to be able to drive from point A to B easily.
Right. Right.
And that kind of
But
makes
I
it what
definitely,
Ron and
I,
Beth Page do. That makes it, because she's sighted, she's an employee, yet because she's the family member that you were talking about, they kind of run the business together, even though, again, she's the employee.
hand in hand.
And so at least all the money from the business is going into their house, coming into their household, as opposed to having to pay an employee to drive and get things there. Yeah.
That is an interesting alternative, because on the one hand, you have, I suppose, a lot more flexibility with your schedule than having to be in a store on site at a fixed time. And you don't have the frustrations that can sometimes come with employees. But how do you feel about missing that daily interaction with people?
That's
If you were to transfer over to the rest stop thing,
I would consider doing something else for myself on the side. I like to keep busy. Just something less demanding, I guess, would be a good way to put it, because being here 24/7, not 24/7, but Monday through Friday
feel like
till
that,
4
right?
o'clock. Exactly. It can be tiring. Or I can even have another stand in the future where I have an employee running it and I can do part-time, coming in and making sure everything looks good, and then do the vending on the side of that. Yeah, I want to do that. I want to have machines and everything.
What are your hours?
Right now we do 7 to 3 Monday through Friday in the green, and then the courthouse is 9 to 1 Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Okay. And was that the spot up on the second floor? I don't think I ever went to that location, up on level or two up.
Yes, that's the spot over on the other side. I don't think he ever had it up and operating, because he knew he was only going to be there for a limited time.
Is there anything that you wanted to sort of maybe reiterate about the program? Any concerns you have, or encouragement you have, I guess?
I can't really say I got too many concerns or like complaints. Definitely just it really is a good opportunity. It's a great opportunity, something to get started in. Don't think you can't do it. Don't hesitate, because all you need is the support system and yourself, because you can do it. You got this.
And you think that the training really is good? It's solid and prepares you?
The training is sufficient, but I will say that I do know that we're looking into different ways to hopefully do training in the future. Even something that makes it a little bit more accessible for the fact that there's licensees in Philadelphia and there's licensees in Pittsburgh, having the possibility of 2 separate areas or something like that to make things easier. But I can definitely say the training was good. I went through everything. You take tests. So it's not like you're just sitting there doing work between you and some random. You are doing tests. You've got assessments you have to do every day, and you gotta pass or take it again. And after too many times, I think you're done. But do not quote me on that.
I'm thinking about a whole bunch of different things as far as training goes, and just thinking about it. If you're a kid right now in high school and you're thinking, what am I going to do? You're thinking, well, I could go to college for a few years, 4 years, maybe more, or I could do something for a couple of months, get enough skills, get enough knowledge to then go and open my own business. And it's not going to be spectacular, just like anything else that people do. Our first podcast was not as great as they are now. Just like with anything else, you're going to learn it. You're going to learn what you need to know, and then you're going to put it into action, and you're going to learn as each day goes by. When you're in your business, you're going to learn more, and you're going to figure out what works, what doesn't work, and it'll all come together and become something. You'll have something that you can have, and you'll make a great living at doing it. So you're figuring a couple of months of your time, as opposed to, like I said, a college degree or even any other kind of training. And just to have that business experience is just an outstanding thing, I think, and huge. Something that folks could get involved in.
Sounds like it's too much of a best kept secret, and it needs to get out there.
Yes, 100%. A lot of people are like, well, why doesn't every blind person know about this? Like, In all honesty, I'm not sure. I heard it through my blind and visual services. BBVS is what I'm pretty certain got me into it. You open up a case with a caseworker through BBVS. You let them know what you need help with and how you can go about doing things, and they just point you in the right direction from there.
So one thing I have heard, Dakota, before we let you go, is that people need to be patient with the profitability of the business. It may not necessarily be day one, cha-ching, cha-ching. What has been your experience so far?
That is 100% true, and that is any business though. That's not just with the DEP program.
Right.
In reality, if you open up your own store, you're not going to see real profit turn probably in three or so years. But a small business like this, you'll see a profit turn a little bit quicker and everything. I can definitely say that I haven't lost anything or anything like that. I am seeing numbers grow, and I can see where in the future it'll be a real turn and all that. You definitely have to be patient with it, but it's hard work, and in the future, it's genuinely going to pay off, and I can't wait. And you just gotta have a positivity.
Yeah.
While we're talking about numbers, BBVS or someone along the line helps with some of the financials with inventory. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, in the very beginning, you get. I started off when I started off as a Social Security building. I got awarded the facility, and they give you a startup fee that is to help you get all of your product. It all depends on what the numbers of the business is doing prior. So it's between, I think, 7,000 and 10,000 or something like that is typically a startup amount. Like I said, it bases off of the numbers from previous years at that location. But they give you that. They help you out with your very first initial one. And that one, you don't have to owe that one back or anything like that. They give you the startup, they get you into it, and you go from there. You just have to prove that startup wasn't wasted, and you go from there. But if it is like the second location here for the green building, I started up after the pandemic and everything, and you have to have proof when you go to when you go to bid for a new facility. You have to have financial proof. They want a reference letter stating that you have enough to start up the facility. And if it is like this facility is greater profit than my last facility, they decide, like the uppers decide whether it is a funded facility or not. And if it is considered a funded facility, then they do provide you the funds to open up the next stand, but you do have to pay that one back.
Okay. And
that makes sense.
Yes. So, but the equipment is already there. You don't have to, obviously down the line as things go and you say, hey, I could use something like this pizza oven to make more pizzas or whatever. You can go out and buy that. But the initial equipment is there, refrigerators and hot dog cookers, things like that. Is that right? That they're all there?
Yeah, for the most part. My coolers are here. They're all in contract and owned by the BEP program. They have those. They have a couple of the vending machines themselves. The Square system, our POS system and stuff, that is us. That is all on us. We do that purchasing. But yeah, for the most part, we're just kind of, they have ownership of it all, and we let them know if something goes out. They help us with repairs, and if we need a new refrigerator, they'll replace it. As everything, it takes time. It's a waiting game for everything, but they try to take care of everything in the facility. Unless we want anything extra, we have to run it by them, and we let them know, and they either approve it or not.
Is that BBVS, or now we talking about the state licensing agency?
Business Enterprise Program, part of the SLA and OVR.
Okay. And as far as the lottery goes, they own that machine, I'm guessing?
No, that is actually 100% through between lottery and us. We get the opportunity. technically you're not supposed to do like betting and stuff like that on government property. I'm not 100% sure
Okay.
where in it's contracted or something where you can do that, I believe.
Okay.
It's contracted that we can have it. We become a retailer with the PA lottery, and they come out and you start it up and you go from there. It's basically completely cut from the BEP because it's the PA lottery. They are their own thing, and
Okay.
they don't let anybody else do anything.
Okay. But you don't have to pay for that machine,
Yes.
though. They put that machine in for you.
Nope. As long as you're selling their tickets and doing the lottery, it's all yours.
I've really enjoyed this conversation. As I said in the beginning, Dakota has such great energy toward this. And I hope there are some people out there listening and think, maybe I should give this a try. Hopefully people won't get discouraged, because you did wait several years while you were on the waiting list. And hopefully something else doesn't pop up while you're waiting. But I think it's a great program. It's a great opportunity to be independent. And that's what we're always talking about as blind and visually impaired people, is that you want to live as independently as possible, and how empowering it is to run your own business, hire your own people, sometimes set your own hours depending on what type of business it is. But I think this is a great opportunity to do just that. So thank you, Dakota, for coming on. Especially we got you on at such really short notice. So thank you for being flexible with that.
Definitely. On that note about you stating that about discouragement, honestly, I wouldn't even look at that as anything to be discouraging. I would look at it as an opportunity for you to experience and do things in that waiting time. Go and experience, go and get yourself another job and get yourself that little bit of experience. It makes it so much easier in the long run to run this facility. It gave me everything I needed, and I got to have fun. I got to, have fun. You're young still. So don't nose dive into it at 19 years old. It might drive you crazy. Take that time to wait for the program to fall into place. Everything happens for a reason, and everything happens at the right time. So don't even take it as discouragement. Take it as happening for a reason.
That is a very good point. Very well said, Dakota. It has been a delight. Thank you again.
Awesome speaking to you guys. Can I say one more thing real quick?
Sure, please. Yes.
Have you guys ever heard of Beep Baseball?
Yes.
Baseball for the blind and visually impaired.
Yes.
Don't forget to check out the Philadelphia Fire.
Philadelphia
I play
Fire.
for the Philadelphia Fire. Yes. Don't hesitate to check us out.
Okay.
It's just a Philly-oriented beat baseball team. Awesome. Always looking for volunteers and any type of players. It is co-ed.
Would you like to give some contact information if people are curious about that?
You can always check out nbba.org. That's got a lot of information. And then you can always check us out on social media, the Philadelphia Fire Beat Baseball on Facebook.
Okay. We'll put the links for those for the two things that you mentioned in the show notes, so people can just tap on over there and have a look. But that's also a very cool thing to keep blind folks active and competitive. Mm-hmm. Again, Dakota, thanks so much for coming on today.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate you guys inviting me out here.
Thanks again to Dakota for stopping by and giving us her great perspective of the Business Enterprise Program. And Lisa, she's got a lot going on with that.
She really does. And she's such a wonderful inspiration. Young people sometimes get a bad rap. And that's unfortunate. But Dakota, being just 24 years old, so mature, so positive. And I hope there are people out there that got were inspired by her story.
Yeah, she really had a lot of good things to say. Now, the one issue, and in fact, by the time this comes out, I will have gone to Harrisburg to go to a meeting of the state licensing agency. Training is not yet open since the pandemic has started. And I know you all know that started back in March of 2020. So here we are in March of 2023. There is no way for you at this very moment of this recording to get into the BEP. They could put you on a list, but the list isn't moving. the list isn't moving because there's nowhere for you to go to get training, and people are arguing over where the training should be and how it should be instead of opening something. As Dakota said, that there are some staffing issues with the licensing agency and who oversees the program, but that is putting a lot of people on hold. I was told it would take me 5 years if I wanted to get involved in the BEP. Now, that was almost a year ago. So does that mean it would be 4 years from now? I don't know. But because there's no training, it's who knows?
Is there any call to action our listeners can take?
I know that there are monthly or quarterly meetings by the state licensing agency with folks who are in the BEP. What I can tell them is get involved with the Blind Merchants Division of the NFB of Pennsylvania. And Pam always gives a great recap of what's going on within and the licensing agency and how things are progressing. It's just a shame to me to think that there are folks who want to get involved with this, but at this moment can't because there's no training. And some people need more training than others, as we were talking about during the interview. If you're an 18-year-old kid who is trying to figure out what you want to do, there's a good chance you don't have very many business skills. Someone who's a little older and more mature, and maybe in before their blindness journey started, maybe they actually ran a business. So some of the things you don't necessarily need. Obviously, you need to know how to run your computer system and how you have to send in your fees and things like that. That you have to be trained on. But if you've had a business or worked in retail or any kind of business where you need to provide customer service, you kind of have a leg up, if you will, and you have that skill down. And that's something that Dakota pointed out, that while you're waiting, especially if you're younger, while you're waiting, go get a job somewhere. Maybe even try to get a job within one of the BEP businesses so you can get a better feel on how the operations work. I'll tell you, the cash system with the Square software, and basically it's an iPad and it's a cash drawer and a scanner and Square software, and that runs your business. And it is so outstanding, the reports that can be run, that it's just a great thing. And you can learn that if you get involved with somebody who owns a BEP location. Obviously, if you're talking about a vending location, there are no cash registers necessary. The equipment is the vending machines, obviously, and they're very different, as Dakota said. The nice thing about the vending is you kind of set your own hours. You go to the locations. Some locations are open 24 hours a day, so you can go in basically whenever you like, and whatever's most convenient for you. Or maybe there's a business has slower times. Let's say a post office may have some slower times at certain times throughout the day. So maybe that's when you want to go in. So there's not all sorts of vehicles zooming through these giant buildings. And it's a lot safer and easier for you to get from one vending location within the building to another. But go out and find something so you can get some of these skills. It'll only make your business better once you do get involved.
Yeah, I think that is great advice, great wisdom. And you'll have to let us know about once you have to report back from the hearing.
Yes, it'll be, well, it's not a hearing, it's just a meeting. So it'll be interesting to see how things go with that. And I'm excited to go. It just seems like they keep kicking the can down the road on when they're going to start, and their excuses, they don't have enough people in their office. And again, there's a lot of families whose lives are on hold waiting for this to get up and running again. And it's just a shame.
Well, on a brighter note, I would like to thank Janice from South Carolina for calling in. This is in regard to the episode with Paul and Chris, part of our Black History Month tribute. I had asked the listeners did you think of that song when Paul kept referring to Gary, Indiana? Did you think of the Jackson 5 song? And thank you, Janice. I'm not alone. She called in. Let's have a listen to what Janice said.
Hi, David and Lisa. Great show. I just listened to the, I think it was the February 27th, 2023 podcast, the one where the interview with Chris Crowley and Paul Howard, and I am calling to leave a comment. Basically, I am giving confirmation that, yes, Lisa, you are right every time. Oh my gosh. Paul mentioned Gary, Indiana. I thought of the Jackson 5. I surely did, and I do remember that song. So that's 2 yeses. Yes, that song is. I don't know if I can sing it, but I think it goes. I'm going back to Indiana, back to where I started from. I'm going back to Indiana, Indiana, here I come. So there you go. And my name is Janice Bright, and I am from Columbia, South Carolina. I am a member of the NSBFSC affiliate, and also I am a member of the South Carolina Association of Blind Leaders, Scabble. That's what we call it. So peace out. Thank you. Great show. Have a great evening.
I have to tell you, Lisa, when I listened to this call and I played bits of it on my own podcast as part of my Just Listen segment, but when I listened to this, and even now, it puts such a smile on my face. So yeah, thanks to Janice for sending that in. And I have to tell you now, whenever I hear the word Indiana, watching the Indiana Pacers, or I immediately think of that song. And I know I wasn't really that familiar with the song before you mentioned it in that episode.
Now it's embedded, right?
Exactly.
Well, thank you, Janice, for your rendition of it. That will definitely suffice.
Yes, and thanks for putting a smile on our faces.
Yeah. So anything else on the docket?
Yes, we still were coming to the end of the Parents of Blind Children and their candy sale. And you can go to nfbp.org/candy. That will take you right to the Sarah's Candy site. Now, sometimes you have to put it in, other times it's already embedded. But if you need a code to make a purchase, the code is 10-0316. Again, 10-0316. Put that in so the Blind Parents Group gets that credit for the sale. They earn 25% on any sale. I can tell you that I bought some chocolate-covered pretzels. I will be posting I guess you could call it a box opening and tasting on Instagram in the next few days. And I'm looking forward to that. But they have a lot of great things over there. Like I said, bought chocolate covered pretzels. They have caramels and all sorts of other things. They have some things for Easter. So again, check it out, nfbp.org/candy, and make your purchase there.
That is all for us. As always, we welcome your feedback. We welcome your show suggestions. You have a couple of ways to contact us. Our email address is whitecanesconnect@gmail.com.
Or you can do like Janice did and give us a call with whatever you've got to say, whether you want to sing Jackson 5 songs or tell us things you like about the show, things you don't like about the show ideas, anything. Please give us a call, 267-338-4495. Again, 267-338-4495. You have up to 3 minutes to leave your message. And please leave your name and town when you do leave a message. That would be great. And we will, like Janice's, play it on an upcoming episode. Now, sometimes we record a couple of weeks in advance, or we move things around because of timing. So it may be a couple of weeks before something gets on, but we will put it on. Again, 267-338-4495. Lisa, this was a great time talking to Dakota today.
Enjoyed it. And that is a good reminder when you're saying about, you may not hear right away. That's a good reminder to keep listening.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe. So whenever an episode drops, you'll get it right on your podcast player of choice. And we are on most of the big ones. So again, subscribe and you'll get them right away.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks again for listening, everyone. Take care.